we're going to delve a little bit deeper into the opportunities that are out there beyond direct property investing, because as we know from many Australian, residential property has been the go-to. But there is a much broader landscape to consider, as we've just been discussing with the wholesale fund. So anything from private credit to, the unlisted vehicles can generate meaningful returns and also regular income. So to help us explore that further, I caught up a little bit earlier with Greg Wallace. He's from Credit Connect Group, and he has, again, decades of experience identifying opportunities and delivering strategies that are designed to suit investors that are really at any stage of their investing journey, so accumulation right through to retirement. So I caught up with him a little earlier on, and I began by asking for his take on the current environment in the property sector and the opportunities out there.
Well, the current environment is very dependent upon where you're wanting to invest or you are invested. There's not one rule that applies across the country. Each of the states is different, and each of the markets is proving to be different. There are driving forces in some of the states which aren't consistent across the country, and you need to be, as an investor, you need to be thinking very carefully about these forces and how they're going to play out with your capital and your investments, and whether investing is the right time or not. You need to think very carefully about that. We're certainly seeing growth in regional New South Wales, coastal New South Wales, Newcastle, north to the border, absolutely seeing it there. We're seeing growth in Western Sydney. Northwestern Sydney has been very, very good to us. We're seeing work in southeastern Queensland, south of Brisbane, and sort of southwest of Brisbane, Ipswich, Springwood. They come to mind immediately. So we're seeing, as you'd expect, with our population growing, the cities being tightly held and being congested, the rural or the emerging urban areas in the regions are doing well for us.
I like that. I like that characterization, emerging cities. Okay. Broadly speaking, a lot of investors, a lot of our viewers are primarily focused on residential property. So what do you think that those people may be missing when it comes to the broader property landscape, Greg?
Well, there's more to property investing than buying property. There's a time to own and there's a time to loan. And at the moment, we think that loaning is the appropriate phase to be in the cycle.
All right.
You're seeing, particularly in Victoria, and you're seeing agitations about property ownership as an investor. So you're somebody that has more than one property. You're seeing issues coming about which you've got to think long and hard about. Land tax, for example, is something that is affecting people's owning positions. It's certainly affecting their returns, and as such, it's dislocating people out of ownership. Cost of holding property is becoming significant for residential investors, which are mums and dads, and traditionally been the mainstay of an investment portfolio for citizens for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. So that's sort of what can be a negative when you hold direct property. But for an investor who's only ever held direct property, so what are the benefits, I suppose, of looking at some of these specialized strategies, looking at funds, looking at unlisted vehicles, looking at, the time to loan as opposed to the time to own?
Yeah, look, the benefits of flexibility. They also income generation. So an investment in real estate secured private credit returns an investor a regular, meaningful income, month in, month out. And for many investors over the age many investors over the age of 60 who maybe have wound back their working life. They might have retired. They're in that stage of life where their investment strategy determines their lifestyle, and they're important. That's a very important. I don't want to overstate it, but it's an incredibly important phase to come to grips with, and to negotiate your way through, because a lot of people are asset rich and cash poor, and when you're in your your non-earning phases of your life, that can cause you some drama. So having a thought about what your assets generating, is it meaningful? Is it meeting your requirements in terms of your lifestyle? And that's day-to-day living. You might want to have a trip. You might want to buy your kids something, or you might want to assist with school fees for your grandchildren. All sorts of things like that are very important, and people find it hard to find an answer to that question. But private credit, real estate secured private credit, goes a long way to addressing those issues.
Okay, so I think now then, Greg, is the time to talk about CCG, Credit Connect Group. How does the strategy work? What kind of investors do you believe it suits?
Okay, well, Credit Connect's been around since the mid 2000s. So I was going to say since the turn of the century, or near enough to the turn of the century. We've done over $1 billion worth of loans. We're, hundreds of deals. We work predominantly up the east coast of Australia. We're not a large group in terms of staff numbers, but in terms of experience and quality of work, we do more than hold our own. We work on a deal by deal basis. We're different to many other providers in the private credit space. We don't run pooled funds. We run individual deals in special purpose vehicles. And so if an investor wants to be part of a single loan, we're the shop to come to. You come in, you're part of you buy a unit in a unit trust, and that trust lends the money out to the borrower. We fund deals from a couple of $100,000 to 20, 30, $40 million. The loans are, as I said, predominantly up and down the east coast. There's some a little further inland, but they're predominantly Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. Who do they suit? It suits an investor or a person that wants meaningful income, consistent income, that they can set their horizon for 12 to 24 months, that can put their own portfolio together of deals, and at the end of the day, they can watch what they do, they can actively manage what they do, so they've got a real hands-on involvement in it. But they're also, the way we work with individual deals by deal, an investor isn't locked into a black box. They're not locked into a long tail if you want to unwind it, and that's something that investors in pooled funds have got to be aware of. That when you unwind a pooled fund, it can take some time in a private credit. Doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. Okay. So you are going deal by deal, backing up some of these, opportunities. So diversification. I mean, you told us that you're primarily working on the east coast of Australia, but is this primarily residential? Is this development? Is this commercial? Talk to us about the diversification of assets.
Okay, we have a very for an investor looking for a diversity strategy, Credit Connect ticks a lot of boxes. We work with obviously residential. We work with regions. We work multi-state. We work with industrial property. We work with horizon property. We work with civil constructions. So we work with deals that are in various phases, and you can be part of a deal that might have 4 or 5 phases. That runs for 5 years. That's that provides your portfolio with solid diversity. You've got a diversity by state, you've got diversity by location. You can get diversity through LVA, you can get diversity through return. All right. You can get diversity through the sponsor. You know, who's the borrower that's funding this? Is it the person just on the first or second loan, or is it a large professional group that you know are on their 40th deal? We've just recently done a deal for a small industrial site down in Cranbourne for a charitable group that has government support. Now, borrowers or investors looking to get some diversity with some risk mitigation, and frankly, when you've got government support, you've probably got really reduced your risk in a loan significantly. That that's for our clients, that's a lovely transaction to be part of.
Yeah, well, I think
can be.
You've sort of answered it, but what you do there then is identify these niche opportunities across different property sectors. You mentioned a charitable organization that was, I suppose, the end result. Any other sort of example that you can give us of a deal that you've done lately or a recent strategy that really highlights what you do and what sets CCG apart?
Oh, look, we're very personable, all right, and we work very closely with our borrowers and our investors. So the borrowers bring us the deals. We work with them. We've worked with them for a very long time. Some of Australia's largest land developers and housing developers are our clients. And that's come about through a quality relationship, knowing and understanding what they're trying to do and trying to achieve, and bringing our investor partners in with us and working with them with a return, with rolling from one phase into the next, and having consistency. And that does set us apart. So somebody can come to us, talk to us. We're not a computer, right? We're not a computer. We're not a website, right? It's not a case of fastest finger first, and you either get a deal or you don't get a deal. You can say to us, come to me and say, Greg, I've got $100,000. I'd like to invest. Can you help me do it? We've got a product for you. We can take them to our website. You can see what our history is there in front of them. But also, by coming and talking to me or talking to one of my colleagues, you can get your name on the desk, on the pad, in front of us, and we can begin to work very carefully and professionally with you to ensure we maximise your return and you get exactly what you want out of your experience.
All right, let's get to questions from the audience. This one is for Jen. And Jen, I would have asked this question because it is, it's the perfect question. She says, what is the minimum investment and what returns can I expect?
Okay. Great question. All right, we work around $50,000 as our minimum investment to get you started. That will get you in the door. Of course, you've got to be a wholesale investor, which is the first question we need to ask before anyone is provided with any information from us. That we need to understand: are you a wholesale investor? Are you a retail investor? So if you satisfy the wholesale investor requirements, then we're off and running. You find a deal that you like, and $50,000 will start you off. At the moment, our returns are somewhere between 8 and 10%. It just depends on what the deal happens to be, but around 8 to 10 that's where we sit right up in there.
And that's paid out as monthly income?
Yes, it is. We distribute the interest payment on the 10th of the month. If the 10th happens to fall on a Saturday or a Sunday, it's distributed on the Friday before.
Now, Rich has got a question as well, and I think you touched upon this, but asking, is liquidity an issue? Because obviously that's a big concern for those that are participating in private credit markets.
Yeah, look, that's a very good question. People should understand before they enter into this that you are entering into an agreement that has a term to it, all right? And there are obligations attached to that. So if you go in, all right, and say that the loan is a 12-month loan, you're in for 12 months. Now, the very nature of these products, they don't run to the specific date. All right, it's not a term deposit. It doesn't have a defined end date. It's not locked in concrete, despite the fact there's agreements and etc. But the product that we're dealing with is real assets. It's a titled Australian real estate. People lend money against titled Australian real estate all day, every day, and have done for a very long time. So it can, loans can be refinanced, properties can be sold. So it is a very liquid space in reality.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right, Greg, just a final question from me, just very quickly. If you had the opportunity to speak to investors, one piece of advice for those investors that are looking to broaden their exposure to property beyond direct property investing, what would it be?
I would say there's no better time than to look at private credit and the opportunities of being a private credit provider and what they present to you. If you're struggling with getting meaningful income, if you're struggling with the volatility of the stock market, if you're struggling with you're struggling with the costs of ownership, then come and have a look at private credit and come and talk to us at Credit Connect.
Yeah.
We'll assist you address all of those questions.